am Diandra Asbaty, 12-time member of Team USA. With over 60 international medals, I know the importance of a strong fundamental game. Today, we'll cover some very important fundamentals, but also focus on something even more important than striking, spares. And you'll learn how to practice like an elite bowler. Is walking straight. To ensure a consistent approach, walking from point A to point B in a straight line is most effective. Today I'm going to bring you two drills that I use to make sure that I'm walking straight. But before we start, we have to make sure that we're starting in the right place on the approach. So you're going to come with me to the foul line. We're going to turn around, put our heels at the foul line, and whether you take 4 or 5 step approach, you're going to take that many steps back. The most important thing is that you walk normal. You don't think about walking, you walk like you're walking to your car. So since I take a 5-step approach, I'm going to take 5 steps and stop. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And also a half a step for a slide. So a half step. This is my starting point on the approach. If you take 4 steps, you make sure to walk 4 steps back, plus a half for a slide. The first drill that we're going to cover is called walk 1, throw 1. So you're going to pick up your ball. I don't want you to put your hand in it. I want you to just hold it so you feel the weight of the ball. The most important thing is to walk normal. Walk to the foul line like you walk to your car. So if you don't have your hand in it, you're not tempted to swing it. And swinging doesn't matter right now. So we're going to stand in our starting position and walk 5 normal steps, or 4 if you take a 4-step approach, to the approach and get into your finished position. 1, 2, 3, 4, slide. And I really focused on what it felt like just to take normal steps to the foul line. Now I'm going to try to duplicate that feeling in my approach. The idea of this drill, walk 1, throw 1, is to walk without swinging the ball to get the feeling of a relaxed, natural walk and try to duplicate that feeling in your approach. And the second drill to ensure that you're walking straight is called ball by your side. You're going to put your hand in your ball, allow it to hang right by your side. In a 4-step approach, you're going to make sure that you move your ball up on the first step. On the 5-step approach, you're going to make sure that in your second step you move your ball up. Really focusing on your feet and your natural steps to the line, we're going to swing the ball by our side while we throw a shot. This is going to allow you to really focus in on those feet, making sure that you're walking normally, just like you walk to your car, from your starting point on the approach to your finish. In this chapter, we're going to talk about a straight swing. It's really important that our swing is straight because that's the direction that our ball is going to go onto the lane. The first drill to make sure that we're swinging straight is called a 3-step approach. You're going to move 3 steps away from the foul line. You're going to hold your ball out in front of you. Once you drop the ball, start with your left foot, allow your ball to swing to the top of the swing, and change direction on its own. Don't ever feel like you're helping the ball swing. Let it drop, let it swing, let it change direction at the top of the swing, let it come down on its own, just like this. This will ensure that your swing is straight. You're able to isolate only your swing and focus on making sure that your swing is going in the direction that you want it to go. The most important factor to make sure that your swing is as straight as possible and as loose as possible is making sure your ball fits. When you go to your pro shop and you get your ball drilled, it shouldn't fit perfectly. You should have enough room in the thumb hole to put bowler's tape in it. Whether you use black bowler's tape or white bowler's tape, the black is slipperier and smoother. The white tape has more texture. It's really important to make sure you have room in your thumb hole to add some tape. There's not one professional bowler out there that doesn't use bowler's tape in their thumb hole. It makes your thumb hole adjustable. So if it's really hot outside, you can take tape out. And if it's cold and your hand shrinks a little bit, you can add tape in. Really important to make your thumb hole adjustable. So to make sure that your ball fits and to know where your tape should go in your thumb hole, put your fingers in first and then your thumb. Take your thumb out and see where there's more room in your thumb hole. Right now, I feel like I can add a piece of tape in the back of my thumb hole to make sure it fits a little snugger. So I'm going to take white bowler's tape. You can use a tool to insert it. I just use my fingers and I pinch it and make sure that it goes on top of the other tape that's already in there all the way down in the hole. Really important to use bowler's tape so that you can make sure that your swing isn't controlled by your hand. You should never feel that you're holding the ball. You should always make sure that the ball is hanging onto you. So make sure that you use bowler's tape in every single ball you have. In this chapter, we'll focus on what I think is one of the most important fundamentals in bowling: follow through straight. Your follow through is where your ball is going to go onto the lane. It's really important when you follow through that your arm is straight and it's long and it's towards your target that you're looking at. Want to make sure that you don't pull through it. Nice and easy, let it be a continuation of your swing. To work on this, I'm going to introduce the one-step drill. Standing one step away from the foul line, this will allow you to really focus on your follow-through at the end of your one-step approach. Making sure that your follow-through is in line, your elbow is straight and in line with your shoulder, and you follow through nice and long. In a one-step approach, you're going to set your ball like you normally start. You're going to push the ball away. At the top of your backswing is when you're going to take your one step to the foul line. Once you've taken that one step, hold your follow through and check to see where your arm is. As you can see, my arm is in line, my elbow is in line with my shoulder, and that's how you can check to see where your follow through is. So do one steps, hold your follow through, and make sure that your follow through is in line with your shoulder and your elbow is also in, making sure that it's not chicken winged. One step approach is a great way to focus on that follow through. One factor to ensure that your follow through is going in the right direction and it's straight at the end is keying on this elbow. Making sure that your elbow is in and close to your body throughout your whole approach is really essential to making sure that your follow through is straight. You can do this by making sure that this part of your elbow brushes your side 3 key times. Once in the push away, once going into the backswing, and once coming down from the backswing into your follow through. Keying on those 3 spots and your elbow will make sure that your follow through is where it needs to be. One drill to help you achieve your dream follow through is called the post-it drill. You're going to throw a normal shot, but you're going to hold your follow through and you're going to post the shot. So at the end, take note of where your follow through is, what direction your elbow is facing, if your elbow is in or out. This will allow you to make sure that your follow through is where it needs to be. As you can see, my follow through was in line to my target, my elbow was in, and it was nice and long. Practice that drill to make sure that your follow through is where it needs to be. One question that I always get is, how can I hook the ball? Today, I'm going to bring you a few quick tips to make sure that you're hooking the ball in the proper way. First, you have to make sure that your elbow is in throughout your whole approach, especially your release. Your elbow is in, your thumb exits the ball before your fingers do. You never want to turn the ball and try to hook the ball with your thumb still in it. Make sure that your thumb exits and out and up, and your fingers go from under the ball to around the ball in this motion. Your thumb is up, your elbow's in, your fingers go around, just like this. Those are just a few quick tips to make sure that you're hooking the ball in the proper way. Make sure that your elbow is in, your thumb exits before the fingers, and the fingers go from under the ball around the ball. Just your hand and just your wrist, not your arm. I have a drill that you can do at home to make sure that you're hooking the ball in the proper way. Find that old football laying around, bring it out, and understand that the motion that you're going to use throwing the football up is the same motion that you're going to use in your approach to hook the ball. Your hand spins around the ball, creating a tight spiral upward. Make sure that your elbow stays close to your body and you're throwing the ball upward, spinning your hand around the ball. It's really important that elbow stays in, because if it's not in, your football is going to go everywhere. You can also do this drill with a friend. Have your friend stand in front of you and throw the football at them, play catch. Make sure that the football is waist high when they catch it, and have them practice their hook release on their way back. This football can be used to mimic the motion that your hand makes when hooking the ball. It's just easier because your thumb's not in it. Too bad we can't bowl with footballs. Now I'm going to teach you the secrets of how to practice like an elite bowler. Number 1, practice with intention. Don't go to the bowling center trying to strike or keeping a score. Scores don't matter, strikes don't matter. Have an intention. What are you working on? What are the things that you want to accomplish that day? The second element that you can focus on in practice is making sure that you have focus. For every game that you bowl, pick 2 things to work on. Never choose more than 2 things at one time. Say for the first game, you work on making sure your elbow's in and your follow through is long. Your second game, switch the focus to making sure that your swing is nice and loose and your push away is in line. Having focus, make sure that you have intention. And intention will get you prepared for that next tournament that you're going to bowl. When you're at practice, don't just throw shots. That's exercise. Make sure that you have that intention. Where are you sliding? What are you hitting? What are your balls doing in relation to each other? Compare your bowling balls and make sure that you have a nice full arsenal. That's what you need to do in practice, not in competition. Another tool that you can use in practice is making sure that you can strike from every arrow. Get all your bowling balls out. This is a good way to compare them. Make sure that you strike from the first arrow and the second arrow, all the way up to the 5th arrow. Make sure that you're able to manipulate the ball to get your ball to do the right thing to hit the pocket. One of the most important tools that you can bring with you to the bowling center is a video camera. Set up a tripod, put up that video camera, record yourself from the back and from the side to check on those focuses that you've been working so hard on. This will allow you to make sure that your elbow's in, your follow through is straight, and your swing is as loose as it can be. And my last secret for practice is keep a bowling journal. Keep this journal around during practice, during league, during tournaments. Record the things that you're working on, how it's going, what scores you're bowling, what needs work. Also, it's a good idea to draw little pictures of every ball that you have, where the CG is. Does it have an extra hole? What does it do when compared to another ball? Keeping track of these notes, and also what lane patterns that you're bowling on, and what moves you're making, and what are good moves, and what were the bad moves, and what you could have done differently. Keeping track of all of these details in a bowling journal will help you become more prepared for that next tournament. I can't stress enough how important it is to practice at practice and not practice in competition. When you're at practice, you really want to focus on what your weaknesses are. Strengthen those weaknesses. When you're at a tournament, you have to understand that whatever you go there with is what you have for the day. You're not going to get any better and you're not going to get any worse. It doesn't mean that you can't manage the tools that you've been working on up until that point, but make sure that when you're at a tournament, you're not practicing the things that you've been working on in practice. That's what practice is for. So making sure that you're as prepared as you can be, practice as much as you can, make sure that those weaknesses are strengthened, and you'll be ready to throw more strikes. If I've learned anything in my 25 years of bowling, it's that strikes don't win tournaments, spares do. In this next lesson, I'll approach spare making in two different ways. The first way is hard and straight with a plastic ball. The key to shooting your spares hard and straight with a plastic ball is to make sure that when you come through in your release, your hand is straight and behind the ball, and you follow through in a straight line, nice and long, at your target. When shooting left-hand spares, I like to split the lane in half. So I'm going to put my left foot on board 20, cut the lane in half, and whatever pin I'm shooting at, I draw an imaginary line from that pin to me. Wherever it crosses at the arrows, that's where I aim at in a straight line with a straight release and a long follow through. So say that I'm shooting the 7 pin. I draw that imaginary line from the 7 pin to me. It crosses right through board 20. I'm going to aim at the middle arrow in a straight line right at the 7 pin. The same goes for your right hand spares, except I use the entire lane. So instead of cutting the lane in half, I'm going to move my left foot all the way to the edge of the lane, draw that imaginary line from the 10 pin to me, or whatever pin that you're shooting. It crosses, again, board 20. I'm going to aim at 20 in a straight line with my hand straight behind the ball in a long follow through. It's an easy and simple way to shoot spares, hard and straight with a plastic ball. You can move around, get a feel for it. There's no rules about shooting spares with a plastic ball, hard and straight. Do what works. This is just a guide, but you can do that for any single pin spare that is left up. I wouldn't suggest using a straight release, straight ball for multiple pin combinations. But in the next segment, I'm going to talk to you about the 3-6-9 approach to shooting spares. The second approach to shooting spares is the 3-6-9 method. What you'll do with the 3-6-9 method is use a strike ball, starting in your strike position, and move your feet based off of what you leave. In the case of a 2-8, how do you determine how many boards to move your feet to pick up the 2-8? You look at the pin that you want to hit, which is the 2 pin. How many arrows is it away from the head pin? In the case of the 2-8, the 2 pin is 1 arrow away from the head pin. You multiply that number by 3 to dictate how many boards you're going to move on the approach in the opposite direction. So if my foot is starting on 30 and I'm looking at 18 to strike, I leave the 2-8, I'm going to move my feet 3 boards to the right, and my eyes stay the same. And if I execute a good shot, I should get the 2-8. This is a good way to shoot multiple pin spares, the 3-6-9 method. In the case of picking up the 4-7, going by what your strike alignment is, my left foot is on 30 and I'm looking at 18. Since the 4 pin, which is the pin that I'm going to hit first, is 2 arrows away from the head pin, You multiply that number by 3. So 2 times 3 is 6. I'm going to move my feet 6 boards to the right, keep my strike eyes the same, and pick up the 4-7. The 3-6-9 method is just as effective as throwing hard and straight with a plastic ball at your spares. Choose what's best for you and get more spares. Now we'll go over some drills to make your spare shooting even better. One drill that I use to make sure my spares are in check is the circuit drill. What you're going to do is shoot at the 10 pin, missing the 3 pin, shoot at the 7 pin, missing the 2 pin. You're going to get the 3 pin, missing the head pin. You're going to get the 2 pin, missing the head pin, and then you're going to throw it in the pocket. And if you can do all of those all at once, that's a circuit. If you miss at any time, you have to start over. The circuit doesn't count. You can start anywhere you want. So I'm going to start with the 10 pin, missing the 3 pin with my plastic ball. Now I'm going to go for the 7 pin, missing the 2 pin. Next up is getting the 3 pin, missing the head pin. Now what I'll go after is hitting the 2 pin down, missing the head pin. And sometimes the hardest shot of the circuit drill is the last shot, hitting the pocket. Get used to doing the circuit drill every time you go to practice. Get the 10 pin, missing the 3 pin, get the 7 pin, missing the 2 pin, hit the 3 pin, missing the head pin, hit the 2 pin, missing the head pin, and hit the pocket shot. See how many times you can do that circuit in a row. And another fun way to practice your spares is a game called low ball. The idea is to bowl a full game trying to shoot the lowest possible score. Now remember, if you throw it in the gutter, it's actually a strike. So even if you have pins left up on the approach, you want to get as few pins as possible. Here I'll demonstrate the first frame of low ball. For the first frame I got 3. Now I want to go for as little pins as possible, keeping my ball on the lane. I got 2 more down. That's 5 for the frame. You want your score to be as low as possible. Play against your friends and really fine-tune your spare game. I've always been a big believer in keeping things as simple as possible, from the start to the finish. In the start, you want to make sure that your push away in your swing is as simple as possible. No extra added movements. When you push your ball away, you allow the ball's weight to swing your arm to the top of the backswing and change direction on its own. You don't have to help it, you don't have to pull it, you don't have to hoist it. One way to achieve this, making sure that you eliminate any extra movements, is a practice swing. Putting your feet in your starting position and keeping them steady, you're going to push your ball away and allow your ball to swing freely. You want to duplicate the feeling of your practice swing right into your approach and make it feel the exact same way. Eliminating all movements that you don't need in your approach will make sure that your approach is compact and tight. Doing a practice swing before your approach will allow you to make sure that your swing is as loose as possible and there's no extra added movements. One way to eliminate any extra added movements in your approach is to make sure that you're focused on your target. Keep your eyes down on the board that you're looking at. Make sure that you stay down at the line and you follow through towards that target. One drill that helps me make sure that I know if I'm hitting my target or not is putting 2 pieces of white tape on the board that I want to hit. Because when you hit it, bells and whistles go off. Okay, bells and whistles don't go off, but you will hear a thump and you know for sure that you hit it. So I'm going to put this tape on board 19 so we can hear that thump. Now we just need to hit it. As you can hear that thump, I hit my target. Be sure to ask your bowling proprietor to make sure that it's okay to put tape out on their lane to make sure that you're hitting your target. This is a great tool to keep track if your ball's going where your eyes are. I've learned the difference between good bowlers and great bowlers is all up here. The mental game is the most important facet in any sport, including bowling. What can you do to educate yourself about the mental game? What you need to think about, how to make sure you're relaxed, how to keep your heart rate down, how to throw that shot in the 10th frame to win your league championship or your local tournament. Educating yourself about the mental game is easy to do. Seeking out books at your local library or bookstore to learn how your mind works. And they don't have to be just bowling books, they can be any sport. Learning about the proper visualization techniques, the proper relaxation techniques, how to make sure that you have positive thinking in your mind, all great things and all a very important part of the mental game. Another way that you can calm your nerves and make sure that you can throw that shot under pressure is drinking a lot of water and chugging it. Water has a soothing effect on your nerves. There's a lot of different ways to make sure that your mental game is where it needs to be. Seek out books to learn about them, making sure that you breathe properly and you breathe deeply, drinking a lot of water, staying hydrated. Positive thinking and visualization are just a few things that can make your mental game better. If you feel that you have too many thoughts in your head, which is easy to do under a lot of pressure, what can you do to eliminate those extra thoughts? One thing that I like to do is called the pick it up and go drill. It eliminates any extra thoughts because what I do is pick up my ball from the rack and I don't stop. I just go right into my